Good evening, all you creatures of the night. Welcome back to the It Records podcast. Tonight, it's going to be Peter and I. Unfortunately, Lindsay will not be able to make it here, but we're going to be doing a mini episode this week. If you're familiar, it's just a little side segment we do outside of our regular bi-weekly podcast where we talk about a specific topic that we want to talk about during this week. That's just related to the horror genre. And this week, we've decided to do horror themes, or scores, if you will, the music behind the movies. Now that I've set it up, I want to welcome Peter Hansen to the podcast. Everybody, Peter Hansen. He's a brilliant, brilliant man. He's the mastermind behind the podcast. Just a real swell guy.
Mastermind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I got to give you my normal charming.
Unwarranted. Just unwarranted.
It is not unwarranted, my friend. Every word is truth. But yeah, that's how I feel about Pete, guys. Welcome to the podcast.
Would you say that this episode is heavily influenced by the last film we watched, which was Suspiria, which had an amazing theme, which is not on our list today because we just watched it?
Yeah. No, I think it's definitely, that's what I kind of came up with the idea is because I kept listening to that score nonstop, that whole soundtrack, really. So I was like, well, let's just do a mini episode about movies that we like the music to that really speak to us. So what we did for the listener is Pete and I, we pooled our brains together as best we could. We tried. And we came up with...
liquidated it.
Yeah. And used all the creativity we could and kind of came up with 5 that we could agree on or want to talk about. Horror movie themes you should pay attention to. Essentially, right, Pete?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before we play them, I have an interesting thought. Let's just name off the ones that we think are great that are not on this list.
Sure, yeah. That are not on the list. Ones that really jump out to me we didn't put on said list. It Follows. The It Follows soundtrack is a big one for me. Just because I feel like more recently horror movies aren't really focusing on the soundtrack as much. So when it came out, it really stuck with me. I thought the movie was great, and also it's sort of a retro soundtrack. It kind of reminded me of an 80s movie. So that one was one that was not on the list, but I think is really great.
And a very shocking one that I think is not involved is Jaws, which probably is one of the quintessential, just soundtracks in general, with John Williams doing it. And yes, Jaws is a horror film, believe it or not.
Yeah, I think that even when I was going over these, it almost slipped my mind that I forget, oh yeah, it is a horror movie. It's got all the elements there. I just don't ever equate it with... I'm just used to, I don't know, more of a slasher horror themes, I guess is what was in my mind when I first went over this.
And I also think since Jaws was kind of marketed differently, it was like the first blockbuster, if you want to look at it that way.
True.
And I think it was as marketed as oh, this is the film you have to see of the summer. And I think that's what people kind of associate it as, rather than your first, or one of the first animal subgenres for horror.
That's a very good point. Yeah, it's marketed much differently than a typical horror movie would. I think if you ask many people, they would just say, "Nah, that's not a horror movie. That's blockbuster," as you put it.
Or that's just Jaws. They just
yeah,
categorize it as its own entity or something.
Mm-hmm. It's a work of its own. Some other ones. Those are 2 big ones for me, but I think we can even say some more that people might think are on the list but didn't make it. The Halloween theme.
Nightmare on Elm Street.
And Friday the 13th we did not put on the list because I feel like even if you're not that familiar with the genre, you know those scores. They're pretty popular, and I feel like we wanted to get ones that maybe people hadn't heard. Not that they're so esoteric or out on the fringe, but ones maybe that you haven't really paid attention to so much. So those 3 aren't on the list. We kicked them out.
So I think with that shocking revelation for everyone, we can move on to our list and play the first one that we have, which is the Deep Red soundtrack, which is by Dario Argento, another great one. And
who did Suspiria?
you want to hit that? You want to hit that play button at the same time as me?
Yeah.
All right, I'm ready. Let's do it.
And play.
This is Matt's first reaction, so this is pretty legendary, everyone.
Yeah, I'm familiar with Suspiria, but I've never heard the Deep Red soundtrack. So first time listener.
I just want to see your face. This change. I listen to this quite often in my spare time.
And I can see that Goblin does. Well, they did this soundtrack and Suspiria, and they're just so catchy. Just beyond being a movie soundtrack, they're enticing. Ooh, okay, all right. I'm getting some high pitched.
Yeah, we don't have to listen to the whole thing, obviously, because we're a little short on time. But I don't know. You could cut it off at any point.
No, Ooh.
Oh,
I'm getting the orchestra behind it.
Yeah, now you got it.
Oh man. It was originally reminded me of like Suspiria. Like the beginning pieces to it, but this is like a different.
Yeah, it's a lot different feel in my opinion.
Yeah, the orchestra piece and the drums behind it take it to a whole different place.
Like quiet.
Yeah, the
and
picking.
It picks back up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, I think it's time for to move on to the next one because we could listen to this the whole time.
Yeah, I could. All right, well, that's a little taste of Deep Red. Interesting. Profondo Rosso. Is that the actual title, the main title?
I think that I want to say that is what it's the movie is called in Italy. Deep Red.
That's Deep Red.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because Rosso is red in Italian.
Gotcha. I'm used to Rojo. I'm not too familiar with my Italian.
Yeah.
Egg
I
on
mean,
my face.
I could be literally wrong, but I'm pretty sure.
That sounds right.
Now, Matt, are you ready to bring on the next one?
I will bring on the next one. Yeah. The next one on the list, drum roll. I chose The Exorcist. Now, I know that's more of a mainstreamer that we were trying to stray away from, like with Halloween. But I don't think it's as popular as a theme as much as the other ones, as much as it is as a movie. If that makes sense.
I also feel like The Exorcist is also not as popular anymore, at least with like younger people. I don't know, I'm kind of making some assumptions here, but I feel like people know of Halloween because it got remade with the Rob Zombie movie, so it's more familiar in people's memory.
Mm-hmm.
And then the only thing with The Exorcist is like there's a TV show now. I haven't watched any of it, so I don't know what theme they use, but I've heard positive things, so I'm looking forward to watching it.
Yeah, I have not watched it either, but I look forward to it. I would assume the same theme. I don't know, though. They might try to branch off from it.
I want to say they probably tried an updated version, if I'm just taking a wild guess here.
Yeah, but you make a good point. Like, even Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street were remade, and I just feel like this isn't as prevalent with the younger generation as much. But they know that it's good. They know that, like, their parents liked it. But anyway, we've talked about The Exorcist. Let's get into what the theme is.
Yeah.
We ready to play?
I'm ready to do it.
Uno, dos, tres, play.
There it goes, right into those bells.
It's good. And for me, I mean, it just creates like I don't know, it's like a foreboding almost sense of anxiety compared to other forms of the horror themes that are more like violin based and like they make me feel anxious just because it's like very irritating sounds almost. But this one's almost just like something's like lurking behind me. Something's there.
You're also giving me like
a false sense of security.
You also give me like a real angelic vibe when you're talking when you're talking over the theme right now, and it's playing at the same time we're talking. I don't know. I'm just getting like a really like I don't know, like a weird body experience right now.
Yeah.
I sound like
Well-
I'm like on acid or something.
The song
I'm
has been
not.
known to do that.
I'm not. I am stone cold sober at the moment.
Yeah. Yeah, there's
But yeah.
something there's some element to it that's, I mean, it's maybe I just said a false sense of security. It wants to lull you in to, like, it's almost fairy tale-ish a bit. Not the same way as Suspiria, but it's unnerving, very much so.
Yeah. But both those movies, I would say actually just all horror soundtracks, good ones, just do that well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. But that, I think,
Yeah, we can-
concludes The Exorcist for me.
Yeah, we can pause on The Exorcist to get to the other 3 that we have lined up on our list that you should listen to. Pete, you want to throw the next one at him?
Yeah,
What
so
were
this one was kind of, I almost feel like I had to do a little more convincing with this one because I chose a John Carpenter film that was not Halloween.
What?
Because it was too popular, and then like, okay, next up you would go The Thing, which is probably his, I would say his second most popular horror film, especially like critically, and especially in recent years, because it wasn't a financial success at all, but like with like probably with cable and like VHS, it became very popular. And that has a great theme with Ennio Morricone. He's an Italian composer who did The Good, Bad, the Ugly, all those like spaghetti trilogies
Yeah.
with Sergio Leone.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't pick it. And then there's like The Fog, which I think has a pretty solid theme in my opinion.
That's got a good one, yeah.
And then, but, you know, I just think this one is better. And I'm pretty sure John Carpenter did the theme for this one because it's his first feature film. He's got like low budget and he's doing like a whole bunch of shit, you know, just being a real indie director in this one.
Mm-hmm. When was it? This
And-
was 74, right before Halloween and everything, right?
Yeah, it was before Halloween.
Mm-hmm.
And to me this is like more of a thriller, but I think it definitely has horror influences for sure. With, I don't know if you're unfamiliar with the movie, the gang, the antagonists of the film have supernatural qualities to them that they like, you know, they have like a blood oath, it seems like they don't really talk, and they kind of just like stalk the police officer who's the main character, and then it's like they're just trying to get him. It's kind of unclear why, in my opinion, if I'm remembering the movie correctly. But on that note, I'm ready to hit play.
For Assault on Precinct 13. Play.
And I hope you have the original one and not the remake.
I have 76, main theme.
Yeah. And right away, I'm just like, God, this is so awesome. No, 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 no.
It's definitely Carpenter. Like,
Oh, yeah. It's Carpenter to a T.
that, yeah. Yeah.
And then with my YouTube tab open, the old cover of Halloween 13 kind of gives me like a Michael Myers vibe. Like it's kind of like a figure in the background of the cover right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I
And
see
it's
that
kind
too.
of like his face is like obscured. It gives me a real. So I thought that was interesting. That I wonder if he like
Drawing some
somehow-
inspiration.
yeah, came across his Michael Myers during this film.
It looks like it from the cover art. Even like the hair looks similar to the original Michael Myers. To the outfit, to even looks like he's holding a blade of some sort. But yeah, this sounds like Carpenter. I mean, it's very ominous. It's not as anxiety piercing like the other ones that are faster, or like the string instruments. He uses like the lower bass synthesizer type music. That reminds me of It Follows. Not this one so much, but his music reminds me of an It Follows soundtrack more. Yeah.
This one is kind of hard to like. I don't really know what else to compare it to. I almost want to compare it to like a weird rock music. I don't know. I kind of just get that vibe for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if maybe because I'm just like stuck in the 70s because we did 3 70s movies in a row.
Yeah, we almost chose more too.
Yeah, that I'm just like thinking like hard rock or something.
Yeah, it's hard to pinpoint a reference like that's similar to this one. Even his other works, I mean, it definitely sounds like him, but it doesn't sound like Halloween or really The Thing that much. But it's his touch.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I just think it's like badass, and that's like what like really made it stand out to me. Where just like this, and then the movie, like it's a great thriller.
It sets the tone for the movie, and that's what a good theme does, and what we want to try to illustrate is those movies might be badass, but it's really because this sets the tone. If that wasn't there, it might not have that same feel in the atmosphere. For sure.
All right, let's move on.
So that's 3, and the 4th one, kind of what we talked about. We said horror movies today, they're not really relying on themes as much. It's more jump scares, more silence, I would say, more silence, and then the jump scare than like an atmospheric theme compared to the 70s that we were in love with, apparently. But
yeah, without us really knowing.
Yeah. It just kind of was subconscious. We were like choosing all these 70s movies and like late 60s. But I went to the recesses of my mind, and I chose one that's fairly recent, is the Insidious series. I think the Insidious theme, people might not think of it too much when they're watching the movies, but it really, if you watch them again, creates... I guess the tension in a lot of those scenes. And what I was talking about, we can play it. You want to play it while we talk over it?
Yeah, we'll play it, talk over. Yeah, let's do that.
We'll play the Insidious theme for the 3. I'm ready. Play away.
You know, this is another one that I've also listened to in my spare time. And there's like a part where, because when you find like a link that plays us the whole soundtrack, like in all one go.
Oh, yeah.
There's like a real quiet moment in this soundtrack where you forget it, and then all of a sudden it goes really crazy with the violin, I want to say, or some other string instrument, and I'm like, oh my god, like you're just like fucking terrified, because I was just so thrown off.
Yeah, no, it's solid. I mean, that even kind of demonstrates what I was even just saying. What recent horror movies do is that they rely on silence and the jump scare in the actual filming, but this movie even takes it into the theme and incorporates that sort of lingering in the quietness, and then bam, throws that anxiety in your face.
That movie, oh god, I really enjoy the trilogy. I think it's really solid, definitely of like recent years, but with this first one, oh god, there's just like a point where like really loses me. Oh yeah, now it's this, your creepiness is starting to really start right now. I'm getting goosebumps.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
you're starting to get a little more bass in it now.
Yeah. With like the baby monitor scene. I don't know if you remember that. Like
of course.
Like that was this part. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's like dead quiet now.
I think I started a little before you because I'm getting some intense shit.
Yeah. In come the strings.
But yeah, with that scene, like, I was like, because there was a while where I haven't been scared from a horror film. There was like a solid period where I was just like, I'm just like not really scared anymore. And then I was kind of just like watching a lot of movies that were just like silly slashers, and then so I like didn't have like a moment where I was really scared. And then like Insidious came out, and then like 75% of the movie I was like, oh my god, I'm like sweating bullets right now because I'm terrified. And then it kind of lost me in the third act after the seance. They kind of go into like the other realm or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know, they kind of lost me when the demon was like climbing on the wall.
Yeah. Oh, I got some intense stuff going on over here. It almost sounds like like this, like they're pulling at the strings, and they're just like running down the strings. All right, we can pause Insidious. You get my mental state back while we finish the podcast.
I don't think this next one is really gonna put us in a good mental state, in my opinion.
It's true. Well, so the fifth one we chose that people may be familiar with. It's a popular movie, but we went with The Shining opening main titles.
I feel like this is like the one. If we didn't do Jaws, we had to do like a hard hitting horror film that had a great soundtrack and just overall a lot of themes going for it. And it's really hard. It was really hard to pick because like, I mean, what other ones could you pick besides Jaws? I mean, I guess Alien I think is another one. You gotta go with like the go-to horror like elite, and this is one of them.
Yeah, this is.
You hitting play yet? I'm about to hit it.
Yeah, I'm hitting play.
Yeah, there we go. Right away, it just kind of like, it just takes me having like a flashback to watching the movie where Jack Nicholson's is driving that cliffside.
Yeah.
And it's got that helicopter shot just like tracking all the way to the hotel.
Yeah. Yeah, that's instantly the image. I mean, as soon as I hear the low horn come in, it's a very ominous, as I've said, but it just, once you see it in the movie too, where they're driving somewhere, at this point you don't know, they're going somewhere in these mountains, it's like you shouldn't be going there. Like, this is clearly, wherever you're going, this music's telling me that shit's going down.
Yeah.
Something bad lurks around this mountain. I've never read it either.
It's so long, like it's so disheartening when it's like, I think it's like 1,000 pages. I don't know. It's Stephen King. I could just assume it's 1,000 pages.
Yeah, he'll write and write and write and write. Yeah. We see the thing, and then we're getting into The Shining a bit, but I know Stephen King was not happy with what Kubrick was doing to the movie.
I would wholeheartedly disagree with him, as much as I love Stephen King.
Oh, same here. Yeah. I think what Kubrick did, I mean, just elevated The Shining. I thought he did a fantastic job.
There's also, like, translation from book to film that is necessary, and I think maybe I'm just a little too gaga for Kubrick, because I feel like, basically, especially of his later work, I just, like, loved. And then, like, his movies, some of his movies are really fucked up, but the really one I didn't really care for was like, I don't know, Paths of Glory. I know I'm going down a different tangent right now, but like, yeah, I don't know if you've ever seen it. It's like, it's not bad. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, the horns came back in.
It came back. It's good. You got Kirk Douglas in it. It's 1957. It's about World War I, and he's like some sergeant or some shit. I don't know. But it just seemed like it almost seemed like he was being, he couldn't be Kubrick. It was like very early on for him. And then I feel like he wasn't able to make the movie he wanted. Yeah, it seemed like almost like pro-war, or like it was like pro-war and anti-war at the same time. Yeah, it was like, this war was terrible, but look how patriotic Kirk Douglas is, shedding one single tear.
He probably wanted to go more Full Metal Jacket than what he did. I haven't seen the one you're referencing, but no, I agree with you. I mean, I could talk Kubrick for days. I'm a huge fan. I'm gaga, as you said, too. But yeah.
Because the one with Tom Cruise, Eyes Wide Shut, I fucking love that movie.
Eyes Wide Shut. Clockwork Orange.
Yeah, Clockwork Orange is as fucked up as that movie is. It's definitely something worth watching.
2001: A Space Odyssey. That one's brilliant. All around, fantastic film. 1969, folks. Okay, we're getting on a Kubrick tangent.
I know. And my theme just ended, so that's
mine too.
We were talking about Kubrick.
Oh gosh. So those were the 5 we chose. We want to get an eclectic mix. Some you hadn't heard of, ones you should, that really set the tone for the film. There was no ranking system. None of them. The first one we chose wasn't the best one, but just to give you a wider range of themes to listen to, and we can put on our website some other ones that we prefer, just so you can
there's a lot taste. Of giallo films, in my opinion, that have some great soundtracks that heavily influenced slashers.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why I think that most of those have like the most quintessential soundtracks too, even when they're not even like the best movies, let's say, they still have like some pretty great soundtracks. And there's other Italian movies like, especially like the zombie genre. They're like all the Fulci movies.
Mm-hmm.
They have some crazy ass music, and we'd even fucking touch on Romero and like Dawn of the Dead. That's got some great soundtrack. Probably Day of the Dead. I can't remember that one specifically, but I'm sure it's good.
Night of the Living Dead isn't fantastic, but it's very iconic, and it just seems like what you would see in a '60s horror movie, if that makes any sense. Like it just seems like if you like were just flipping through the channels and like a '60s horror movie came on, that's the theme you would hear. But yeah, there's plenty we didn't touch because it's supposed to be a mini episode, but we chose 5 we thought were more prominent than others at this time.
Yeah, I think that's the best way to end it, because we're getting a little long for a mini episode, but I'm pretty confident with what we talked about, and I think we talked about each one at a good length, and then we got on a Kubrick tangent. Apparently, we just need to watch another Kubrick film.
Yeah, we need The Shining on the podcast. All right. With that, we will wrap it up for this week. Be sure to check out our website. We're going to have blog posts up there. Tweet at us. Let us know. Again, always what you're thinking, what you want us to talk about. We love your feedback. Laura will be coming out in the following week or so with a new episode for you to listen to. And until next time, I'm Matt Johnson, and I remain in the shadows.
Ooh, scary. It's Peter Hansen. And I'm not afraid of you, Matt.